Hello and good morning. I am here with you today to share some of my findings and recommendations regarding the influenza data that I have been looking into, studying, and over the last several weeks. And by the end of this presentation, my aim is to leave you with some direction to assist you in staffing solutions during the upcoming influenza season in the United States. So, I wanted to look into the questions that were posed at the beginning of the project, which is where to send staff, how many of them to send, and of course, when. Using the existing staff as the budget did not permit for any additions to staffing. So, as you can see, each year, and this was taken from between 2009 and 2017, the U.S. experiences quite a high rate of influenza and, as a result, influenza deaths. Unfortunately, in the dark red states, you can see these are where most of our deaths are occurring between 2009 and 2017. And to give you an idea of the gravity of this issue, I mean, we're talking up to, like in California, 54,000 deaths, almost 49,000, 41,000 in New York. So we really needed to find a solution to how to delegate the staffing that you have to meet the demands of this influenza season. So it might seem obvious to some that older people tend to be more vulnerable to death from influenza, but it is still important to look at the data to confirm whether this is biased or not. So I did a couple of different looks into this. I over here looked at the deaths based on different age groups, and what's important to note here is that definitely you can see the number of deaths of ages 65 and above are quite a bit more than all these other age groups down here. In fact, this one, the 65 to 74, you can see has nearly doubled just between 2009 and 2017. And of course, this age group of 85 plus, you can see, is way above all the other age groups, indicating that they experience quite a few more deaths from influenza relative to the other age groups. But in order to not be biased, I did want to do some tests and look at it from other perspectives. So, you will see on the left here, I did a correlation test. And basically, what it's showing is whether there was a correlation between the population of those 65 and older and the number of influenza deaths of that same age group. And we can see that a lot of these red dots are right on this line that goes across this graph. And this indicates that yes, in fact, there is a very strong and positive relationship between these two variables. The actual coefficient was 0.94, which again just means that there was a really strong relationship between the number of deaths experienced by ages 65 and above and their population. Looking at it geographically, you can see the areas that have a higher population of 65 plus, which are the darker green colored ones, also, not surprisingly, do have also higher numbers of influenza deaths. And those are the larger red circles indicating more deaths. So, another question was when to prepare all this staffing. And I went through each of these years, and essentially, just to give you an idea, they all kind of end up showing the peak of influenza season tends to all be at the same time in each one of these years, and that tends to be around this January, February, March. Some years it was even in December. So, see another January. Basically, December to March, with mainly in January, to prepare the staff for when they should be expecting these high rates of influenza and deaths as a result. So, if you look at this these graphs, I was looking at where, and we saw on the map earlier, but here on the left you'll see that it looks at and forecasts the upcoming year probable number of deaths by these particular states. And what we can take from this is that generally between 2009 and 2017, the patterns were pretty consistent across each state. So we can say that the forecast is likely to be pretty accurate. And on the right side, you'll see here that we are taking a look at which areas we're going to need to prepare that staffing for. It looks at the total population and the relation of number of influenza deaths of that vulnerable 65 and above age grouping. So you'll see, not surprisingly, the area that had the largest population also had the largest number of 65 plus deaths, which is based on the size of the circle. So you'll see that was mainly in the southwest, and over here we want to take a look at in the northeast as well. So, like I said, I want to leave you with some recommendations and some next steps so that we can help you to be best prepared for this upcoming influenza season. So what I've gone over is that the 65 plus population really needs your attention. So, to give you another kind of way of looking at it, this whole light pink or light red is how many influenza deaths have occurred from ages 65 and above versus all those below. So we can see that's a huge difference. So definitely I'm recommending the focus is on that vulnerable population. Secondly, when to prepare your staffing, we're talking those months of December to March when we saw consistently each year. That's when we're getting the largest numbers of deaths, and we can safely say that's our peak influenza season. And finally, where to send staff. So we're talking about those highly vulnerable areas. States like California, New York, Texas, and Florida, like we saw on that first map, the dark green colored ones. Um, so that is where we want to focus our attention on. So I'd like to thank you for your time, and I do look forward to getting some updates on how this plan works out as our flu season approaches. I am always here for feedback so we can continue to monitor and improve in areas that might not yet have solutions. Thank you.